Hello and welcome to my guide for casual players for getting 6,000 points in Twisted Leagues. This guide is aimed at more AFKing, and I'd say about 80% of this guide is going to allow you to AFK while getting your Twisted Leagues points. There are going to be portions of this guide in which it's going to require you to pay attention and actually do some clicking, but a majority of that guide isn't going to require it, which is why this is the casual player's guide. So if you want the efficient guide or fast guide, go below, check in the description, and I'll be posting a link to that. I'll also be posting a sort of text guide in the description too. You can copy paste that if you don't want to watch this really long video, because I'm sure it'll be pretty long by the time I finish recording all of this. And in addition to that, I also have timestamps in case you want to go to certain sections of this video, so that's all in the description. And while you're going to the description, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Can be shamelessly plugging in the beginning of the video now because I need to be boosting my numbers. So, like and subscribe. Appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So like the last guide, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about my relic selection for this guide. For your first relic, the tier 1 relic, you're going to want Endless Endurance. I think overall the time that you save in order to like travel and being able to run versus walking, it's worth picking the Endless Endurance still. You could use the Abyssal Accumulator, however, it depends how much you're going to be AFKing at sand crabs and if you want to do that, so it's kind of up in the air. I just recommend overall for the save time with traveling because that still is a big part of Twisted Leagues in general. Endless Endurance dominates on it. As far as the tier 2 relic, for AFKing, you're going to want the Arcane Courier. And the reason why you want the Arcane Courier is because it sends everything to the bank. So you're going to be doing a lot of gathering skills during this, and because a lot of those are AFKing, sending them to the bank means you don't have to drop them, you don't have to deal with your inventory filling up, and that just makes everything a lot more AFK. The Hardcore Harvester makes stuff a lot less AFK, and the Unnatural Selection is nice, however, you're not really doing much Slayer and farming contracts in this guide, so Arcane Courier is the best selection for an AFK focused guide. For tier 3, you're going to be wanting to do Gift of the Gatherer. The reason why is this covers most of the gathering skills and gives you a ×2 experience boost in that on top of the ×5. So it speeds those up a lot and cuts a lot of the grinds you have in half the time. Then for the tier 4 relic, you're going to want Spirit of the Dens. I highly wouldn't recommend this unless you're going for an AFK guide. Normally you'd want something like Treasure Seeker or Connor's Blessing. The only time I will ever recommend Spirit Dens is now for an AFK, just because you don't have the interrupts, you don't have the damage. The triple loot is nice, but it's not really a huge deal. It's mainly just because you can AFK Wintertodt, and 50 million firemaking experience is a huge chunk of points that you can get while doing it AFK. Plus, on top of like all of the other stuff, other skills that you'll be doing at Wintertodt, and additionally, you do get some stuff from like gear and that. Then finally, for the tier 5 relic, you'll be wanting Xeric Wisdom, and that's because it then further cuts a lot of your grinds in half. So going from ×10 to ×20 experience rate is pretty nice. Normally I'd recommend Focus because it's really fun and great for PvM. Resilience just doesn't have a lot of benefits really. I guess it's kind of AFK because you can put up a Protect Magic, Protect Melee, a Protection Prayer, and be able to AFK it with like +4 or +7 prayer bonus, but overall that isn't too great. You can just AFK at sand crabs and it's not terrible to find a spot. So Xeric Wisdom speeds up a lot of stuff and means you have to do less AFKing time, which overall is a good thing, I guess. It gets you 6,000 points a lot faster. So that's my selection for this guide. The Endless Endurance, Abyssal Accumulator second, but that's just opinion based. And then Arcane Courier, the Gift of the Gatherer, Spirit of Dens, and also Xeric Wisdom. Like every single one of my guides have started for this, you basically start with thieving. So Hesidious Bar, Pickpocket Men over here, you know, it's right over here from Castle, and get to 5 thieving. Once you do that, you come over here, you have cakes, watch out for the guard dogs so you don't get killed, and just bank those over there. You'll be going all the way until 20 thieving. From there, we're going to be needing some silk, so we're going to go all the way back to the castle, and you're just going to be working on thieving silk from over here. Watch out for the guards, you can kind of lure them on either side of these stalls here. And then once you get some silk, you just kind of talk to a merchant, and then he'll be like, hey, I'll buy some silk from you. Hit the 120 GP option. He'll try to haggle you down, but you can then tell him, hey, I'll sell it for 60 each. You'll get about 250 silk, getting to 38 thieving from this, and they'll sell for 18k later when you go to sell it. Coming back to the Hesidious Center over here, just grab some of your cakes, either banked or thieve a little bit more, and then come over to this room here. You have some Master Farmers. Pickpocketing one of those gives you 50 points, so that's pretty quick. Do this all the way up to 40, and once you have some seeds, come all the way over to the farming patch over here. You're going to be wanting to keep up with your farming passively as long as you remember it. That'll be important later on, but just kind of plant whatever you can right now and leave that to grow, and you'll be back for that later. Now we have some more miscellaneous tasks to go do. So this next part requires you to come up here, Port Piscurlius. You're going to be starting Client of Kourend, and then you're going to use the teleport to Land's End. Come over here, and then stop by the bank at Land's End. That's worth 10 points. Keep running up north, and there should be some chickens up here by a campfire, and then you'll run back down to Land's End, that boat, and teleport back to the Port Piscurlius docks. Then continue on with Theos and go complete the Client of Kourend. You'll be spending the favor on the Piscurlius house, and you will be spending the lamp on fletching, and you'll also be spending it on construction. But in order to spend it on construction, you're going to need to first go sell all of your silk to the merchant that I mentioned earlier, and then just run down south to the northern portion of the Hesidious area, and you need to buy a house before you use that lamp. This will both get you to 15 fletching and 15 construction. It does cost 1,000 GP, but you should have 18,000 after selling all that silk at 60 GP each, so it's not a big deal. If you don't have Runelay installed at this point, you really should install it because you need the Arceuus library plugin to help you with this. It's basically just going around, get the 8 books that you need, and turn them into this dude right here, and also her over there, and you'll get 20% favor off of the 8 books, and then you'll have access to the staff shop and the magic shop for runes. So just move over to the staff shop, and you can buy a fire staff and also an earth staff, and then move over to the magic shop right here, and you'll want to buy about 2,000 cast of Earth Strike for the next part. For this next part, if you want to be pretty efficient, you could go over to Konar and go grab a Slayer task, but that's kind of a pain running all the way for this mess to her, so it's not necessary, and Slayer isn't a huge deal, so just come down to the catacombs here, and we'll be running to the southeast corner of the catacombs. Just watch out for moss giants here. You might want a little bit of food, just in case they try to stack you out, and also for luring the king sand crabs, which are of interest. Those can hit up to 6s, so be wary of that. And the main reason we're going to be killing king sand crabs is because they have a sort of common, uncommon drop of mithril axes, so you just get one lured. There's a couple spawns there, and you just get it lured, and you can save spot from here. So mithril axe is the main thing you're after, but you can also get like an adamant longsword, which isn't too bad of a weapon for training your melee. You should also be able to reach at least 40 magic with this part and 20 HP. Probably a bit higher with this 2,000 cast, but that's definitely a minimum as far as the milestones for getting points. Alright, for the next part here, we're going to be coming up to northern Piscurlius, and you can grab your small fishing net from the bank. You can bank this fish, but it really isn't of value, so you'll just be coming over to the fishing spot small net here. This one's pretty static, and you just fish, and there is a cooking range here. So you'll be working towards 40 cooking and fishing. Highly recommend just dropping the fish because it's not that great, and shouldn't take too long, maybe about an hour to get up to both of those. This next part really isn't too strict on location. I just chose Deciduous here to show off, but you just need to come here where there's a bunch of oak trees and there's a bunch of regular trees. You'll be working on getting to 40 firemaking and 40 woodcutting. That mithril axe will help out a little bit for doing this part right here. And once you have that, you'll be unlocking your second relic, which will be the Arcane Courier. Guess what? We're going to continue working on woodcutting, but we're also going to start fletching. Because you put that lamp on fletching, you can start right away with oak logs, and we'll be going up to 60 woodcutting and 40 fletching. There are some willow logs, like there's some right over here, and because you have Arcane Courier, everything goes to the bank, which is great. So you can just kind of go to whatever location is free. There's some down here south of the Woodcutting Guild, but they all go to the bank, and you can just start fletching them whenever you want to. But you'll just be going up to 60 woodcutting and 40 fletching. And once you have that, I highly recommend you grab a little bit of cash, and you'll be coming up here to the Hasidius bar for the next step, and you'll be buying a stew. So this is a great source of food, and I didn't really mention in the last guide, but if you come here, you can get these stews for 25 GP each. They're not in the main game, however, they are in the actual Twisted League. So they were kind of added to help with the food issue. They're not in main game, they are in Twisted Leagues. You can buy them from either one of these people in the bar. So now that we've done that stew part, you just come up here to the northern part of Piscrolius, and you'll be starting the Queen of Thieves quest. So just get that started. NPCs right there, and then you will be coming down here doing a bit of talking to someone, and you'll finally unlock the manhole over here, which gives you access to the fish shop. You'll be wanting to sell some of the unstrung bows that you ended up fletching for getting to 40 fletching. It's not too much cash, but it should be enough to buy you a decent amount of feathers, because you'll be going to 60 fishing and 65 cooking, whichever comes last. So you may hit 60 fishing before you hit 65 cooking. Just keep pushing on until you have at least both of those. So this dude right here will sell feather packs. They're like about 4 GP each for a feather. It's a little bit expensive, but that's how you can get them in bulk really quickly. Once you do that, places I recommend for fishing, you can come over here to the Piscrolius, or the Hasidius spot right here. And there's none in Piscrolius unless you consider this right here, Piscrolius. And there is also one over by the Farming Guild, but that's a little bit off the way. It is an easy task, but we don't go into diaries too much. And because you pick the Arcane Courier relic, everything's going to the bank, so don't really worry about cooking it. You can cook it wherever you want to. Kind of an afterthought, but I want to mention it now, that you shouldn't spend all of your money on feathers. Just get maybe 1,000, maybe 2 at most, but don't spend too much of it because you will need it in a little bit. So we're going to be working on Hasidius favor to 100%, so come to the plows. Remember a hammer, so when you can repair them, you'll get a bit of farming experience, a bit of crafting. You're in the area, so might as well do a farm run while you're at it. And then once you got 5% Hasidius favor, shouldn't take too long. Move over to the west here, just gotta run around. Can't use this shortcut because you don't have the agility level, but I do, so gonna use it. And we're gonna be digging up some saltpeter over here. We can kind of look into it. It moves around from spots, so you gotta find the dude. And he's over here right now. You can talk to Canoe, and he'll give you a spade. You dig it, you bank it, and from there, we'll then be going over to the farming shop because you'll need a bunch of compost. So you'll be doing this up to 45%, which means you need 400 buckets of compost. You need 400 saltpeter to make those, and you just come up to her, and she sells compost at a pretty pricey rate of about 2,000 GP per 100 here, and you'll be buying 4 packs of that. So that's why you need a bit of cash. That's why the fletching should help a bit. Once you do that, come over here and make it. And then you'll just run over to Mess Hall, all the way over here, just south of the castle, and you'll be knocking out several things there. So first, even though you may have 65 cooking already, you'll want to make stews. So you want to turn in 20 stews with greater than 30% appreciation. That counts as a task, and the appreciation bar is up in the top left corner, or top right corner. It's up there somewhere, but it has the appreciation bar, and just hover over it and it'll tell you if it's what percentage it's at. The higher percentage, the more cooking experience you get, but for the task you need greater than 30% appreciation. And then once you do that and complete the task or stews, you'll want to do it for the pizzas, and both of those will get you a ton of points for Twisted Leagues. You get 100 from pizzas, you get 50 from the stews, and then also 100% favor will get you 10 more points on top of that. Quick thing you can knock out is stealing from these fruit stalls all the way until you get the special fruit, the Glenova fruit, or whatever it is. It's displayed right in the center of that fruit stall. You need to steal one of those, you get 10 points for it. It's like a 1 in 64 chance, it's pretty quick. You can also use it for boosting your herb lore, but that's not a huge deal. Once you got one of those, you got 10 points. You also might get some strange fruits, which heal poison. It doesn't work as a continuous anti-poison, but it heals it once, and then you can instantly get repoisoned after, so use them as needed. Since you're in the Hesidius area, I highly recommend just kind of moving out east over here. So there's a ton of different things for sand crabs. Just grab a weapon, the best they have. That's why the nice thing to get the adamant longsword helps out a little bit for this next part. But you're just basically going to be using sand crabs and training up your combat all the way until 40s. It's not going to take too long. You can AFK most of this. The endless endurance does help a ton for training this, and there's a ton of 2 and 1 spots that you can use, and it's really not crowded. So you got 1 spots here, you got 2 spots once you're a bit more tanky, and just work up to 40 attack, 40 strength, 40 defense. That should also get you 40 HP, which will get you about 230 points. So we're going to be taking advantage of your Arcane Courier relic again, and we're going to be coming up to the Piscarilius mine right here, and that will allow you to mine 26 copper, 26 tin, and then you'll be working on some iron all the way up until 40 mining, and then you'll go smelt them, smith them, and you should get at least 20 smithing. Nearest furnace you're going to want to use is this one up in the Loken area. And you can also buy a pickaxe if you want to prior to this, but I don't know how well your cash stack will be doing. It depends on your luck at the sand crabs and all that. So if you want to, you can buy an upgrade pickaxe, but it's up to you. And then we only have one more task before you hit the next milestone for the 3rd relic. So the way we're going to be finishing off this last points for the 3rd relic is you just enter Woodcutting Guild. That's worth 50 points right there. And now you should be able to choose the Gathering relic. That way you get double experience from all your woodcutting, farming, mining, and all that, which will be important later on. And we're also going to be staying here at the Woodcutting Guild. So we'll be going all the way until 80 woodcutting and 80 fletching. And then once you do that, you will want to make your way all the way up to the Loken area, this tower right here called the Forsaken Tower. So Loken area, you just kind of make your way through rocks here, and there's magic trees right here. So you cut one of those magic trees, you get a log, and that's worth 100 points. So some good points right there, and that's how you'll be starting your T3 relic off. For this next part, you're going to be doing a lot of AFKing, and by a lot, I mean you're going to 99 fishing for this, which should also get you 60 agility and 60 strength from it. So take all of those unstrung bows that you got and go sell them to some general store. You may want to world hop a little bit to get a bit of extra cash out of it. Once you do that, you're going to come down to the Worms here, come to the fish shop, buy a barbarian fishing rod, and buy as many feathers as you can. You may want to like world hop to try and make sure you're buying them at a better price. Once you do that, you're going to be coming all the way over to raids here, have to make it all the way for this. That's why I recommend getting a bit of combat before this, and also some of the strange fruits so you can heal poison. And here is your home. You will be here fishing at these barbarian fishing spots all the way until 99 fishing, and you'll get 60 agility and 60 strength, as I mentioned earlier. So this next part is going to require a bit of activity, and what you're going to need to do is finish off 42 mining. You can finish it off over here in the Lifkin area, or you can finish it off over at Pistorius Mine. Should be pretty quick because you have 10 times mining experience. Once you have that, you're going to come up here to the sulfur area, and that's in the northwest corner. You will need 15 Slayer. If you didn't knock that earlier, well, you need to go knock that out now. You need to buy a face mask from Konar so you're not getting completely destroyed by these. There is a safe spot that you can use with this sulfur thing, and by safe spot I mean you won't get completely ragged by these clouds. You'll only take a little bit of damage, but you can go check on YouTube. There's some better ways to set them up. Guides wise, you just basically take a spider that's over there and kind of make it so these clouds don't rag you. But you'll be doing that all the way till 65% favor, and then you'll go around and unlock the mine carts, 100% favor from that, and you can go check guides too on that. It's a pretty self-explanatory thing. You just have to run around after talking to the person here from the mine carts just south of the bank, and then he'll make you go around to all of them and give these scrolls and congratulations, then you'll unlock those things. So knock all of that out, and then we will be doing the rest of the mining grind right after that. Continuing on with a bit more of that activity-intensive stuff, we're going to need to work on your mining. So we'll be getting up to 80 mining for all of those points. So highly recommend finding a 3 iron spot to do this. If you really want to, you can 3-tick, but that's pretty intensive, and that's not what this guide is going for. You can also find one just west of Konar's Mountain here, and there's a 3 iron spot there, but if those are all taken, which it's pretty likely, you might have to use the spots over here by the Pistorius mine right there. So it's not a 3 spot technically, but it's like 3 of them diagonally, and you can kind of run around those. I highly recommend that you take whatever cash you have and buy at least a mithril pickaxe from the shop. If not, try to get rune if you have enough cash for it, but that's a little bit on the expensive side. And we'll be going to 80 mining, and once you have that, we'll be coming all the way up here to the blast mine. And you'll need a little bit of dynamite, and you can buy that from the shop right over there to the east of the blast mine. And then you just need to do blast mine till you have 1 adamant ore and 1 runite ore, and once you complete that, you will have enough points to be able to unlock your 4th relic, which you'll be picking the Spirit of Dins. So before we jump into Wintertod, you're going to need to get 50 firemaking. Just go cut some logs somewhere and burn them. It's not that bad. And then after that, we're going to be going for 50 million firemaking experience. Yep, that's right, 50 million firemaking experience. And you have the Spirit of Dins relics, so that makes this really AFK, because you're not taking off the damage, you're not being interrupted by most things, and you should be able to get that pretty easily. You don't need to do fletching for this, unless you really, really want to. Your main focus is just going to be burning logs and paying attention whenever you need to. And as far as it also goes for loot, the pet is not included because most likely you're not going to get the pet. If you do, then great, you'll be able to finish 6,000 points earlier. But I do include the pyro set because it's really likely you will finish the full thing with 50 million firemaking experience. However, that doesn't mean you will get it. It is RNG. There are people, and even someone who posted on my last guide that's like, I didn't get it in this time. It's not a huge deal. You can make up this 100 points easily somewhere else, but just be aware you might not get the power set. However, I do include those points in this guide. You can maybe make it up with some combat. That's my recommendation. That shouldn't be too hard, and it's also pretty AFK. You can also get 40 construction from this whole thing. you lamp to 15, getting to 40 isn't that hard, especially if you're AFKing and you do miss like over 50% of them breaking. You should be able to at least get to 40 in 50 million firemaking experience. You also should be able to get 99 woodcutting in this whole thing, and that's a ton of points right there. That's just over 1,500 points just from this Warntog grind. So shouldn't really skip out on this, and it's going to be pretty AFK with that relic. That's why I recommend choosing it for this grind. Remember all those farm runs you probably forgot to do? Well, here's where it actually starts to become important. You're going to be wanting to enter the farming guild itself, and then also the mid-tier. You're going to want at least 62 farming. You can do a +3 boost. That right there is a 150 points just from entering both tiers of the farming guild here. Also getting to 62 farming should be 110 points right there. I didn't include them earlier on the guide just because they were kind of they were kind of passive, so you would get them at some point. I just didn't know when, and here's the point in which I'd actually count them now, as you should have them. But wait, the farm runs don't stop there. So we'll be coming over to tithe farming, and no, you don't actually have to do full runs. Well, sort of. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go grab some seeds, and then you're actually going to have to run in here. And the task that I'm going to be recommending that you do is come over here and just plant them. You need to plant 100 of the low tier seeds and 100 of the medium tier seeds. That's worth 150 points right there, and it's pretty big. You just need to plant them. They could die. You could harvest them. Doesn't really matter. If you need to like do a little bit of a boost to 62 farming, you could do that low tier and actually harvest it and turn them in for experience. But it's up to you if you really need the experience or not. And just find a world. You can have up to 3 people in a world for an instance. Realistically, only 2 people can actually do these farm runs because you're doing basically 5 long patches here, which is 20 seeds. And now if you really hate the person that's here, the second they harvest, you can like plant the seed right here and just kind of take over their world and then hop and then do that to someone else. I don't recommend doing that. Just don't. That's a bad move. Don't. But just try and find an open world. It should be pretty quick. You can hop while in this instance area. Then just plant the 100 seeds of both tiers. They can die, whatever. And that should get you 150 points right there. Alright, so if you've looked for this guide and now you're like, oh wait, I need farming. Well, if you haven't been working on it, you do need thieving also. So pickpocketing and master farmer, you're going to want to go to 64 thieving. That way you can thieve from stone chest. You can also go all the way over to raids, and if you didn't, you should have unlocked the mountain guide there. That's one of those things I highly recommend. Makes it easy to travel between them. And you go into a raid and kill the scavenger to get a picklock, because once you hit 64 thieving, you're going to be coming up to Kipos lowlands here and stealing from stone chest. There's guides out there of how to steal from them. They're pretty self-explanatory. Just wear some armor, bring some food, some anti-poison, and you'll just be running through this. It's pretty populated, so odds of you getting hit are pretty low. And then also you have some combat stats, so that also helps a bit. And you'll just be stealing from stone chest all the way until 80 thieving. And once you've gotten 80 thieving, well, you get the points from all of those levels. You also should get a talisman. I mean, odds are you should get a talisman. I was unlucky and went all the way up until 75 thieving to get my first one. And I was like on the really unlucky end. If you don't get it by 80 thieving, just keep going. You'll get it. I have faith in you, because that's 4 times the rate if you don't get it by 80 thieving. So keep going. It's great. You get all of those things the whole time. But once you've gotten 80 thieving, you can come over here as early as 75, but it's not a huge deal. Just steal from a gem stall here and just steal in broad daylight right there, and that's 250 points from stealing from that gem stall. Easy action, and once you have that, you should also be over 1,000 total, which means you are ready to unlock the tier 5 relic, which is Xeric's Wisdom. Now with Xeric's Wisdom, you might be wondering, what am I going to do with this relic? Well, there's a lot of sort of gathering grinds that you're going to be going for. First one that I'm going to be recommending is going for 99 thieving. You have 20 times experience for this, so it's going to be really quick. Just come back to Stone Chest, keep running it. It's only like 10 hours. That's some of your more active stuff. If you really want to do AFK, you can like come over to the fruit stalls and just feed from those and just drop them as you go. One of the places I kind of recommend for if you're going to AFK on this sort of thing is there's this location over here in the northeastern part of Hesidius that you can just kind of like spam click the fruit stall. You won't get attacked, and then you just kind of drop the fruit as you don't need it really. So yeah, you can just spam click that fruit stall and you're getting like 500 experience per thief, and it's pretty quick. So I think it's like somewhere around 600k an hour and you're spam clicking. It's not bad overall. So just get to 99 thieving, 20 times experience, pretty nice, and that's worth 250 more points. This next part, you're just going to be coming over here when you need some AFK time and doing barbarian fishing. You're going to be going for 25 million plus fishing experience. You're going to want to try to also hit 80 strength and 80 agility with that, and that all is worth 450 points. You can AFK here even more, go up to like 50 mil fishing experience also. That's worth 500 points right there if you get 50 million, and can knock out some other stuff earlier. So if you really want to AFK here and you have the money for feathers, this is a really nice thing to do and would highly recommend. And if you're worried about the money for feathers, Stone Chest should have been able to get you a decent amount if you knocked out that 99 thieving already. And especially with the 80 thieving, it also should have gotten you a decent amount of GP. Alright, so for this last part, you're going to be going for 80 magic. And no, you're not going to be doing it all here on the Arceuus library. That would be too intensive. It's not too slow, but it's pretty intensive. So what you're going to be doing here at the Arceuus library is getting to 100% Arceuus favor. And I know you only need 65% to get the spell book, but just get 100% because it's an easy 10 points. Plus you train a little bit of magic, which helps you get to 80. The other thing is you're going to want to make sure you grab the teleport spell from the teleport ink book. Using that teleport spell is worth 50 points, and the Arceuus spellbook, there's a spell at 78 magic, which is Resurrect Crop. That is worth 100 points if you cast it on a dead crop. The way you get nature runes is you go kill hill giants. Best place is in the catacombs. Moss giants will also drop them too. And you'll also want to get some law runes because you need to cast the kourend teleport. And you can also buy the blood runes and soul runes from the Arceuus shop. You only need to cast the resurrect spell once, and you also need to cast the teleport only once, but those are worth some good points. And once you've done all of that, congratulations, you should have 6,000 points if you followed this guide all the way through. I hope this guide has helped you with figuring out a way to get 6,000 points in a mostly AFK way. Keep in mind, you can't do everything AFK, so you gotta put in a little bit of effort to get the 6,000 points, like with the mining grind and some of the favor stuff. So, but overall, you can multitask in AFK, majority of this guide. You do have to keep in mind that it does take a lot more time because of that, and it'll take roughly like 100 hours, give or take, to complete this whole thing from beginning to end. So plan accordingly. Make sure you start as soon as possible if you're going to be going for this. Don't try to cram it in all at the last minute. And if you want to try to do a faster guide, I will be linking in the description below my fast guide to 6,000 points, which is like twice the speed of this. And also, I'll be putting the text guide as I mentioned, so if you just want to copy paste that, that'll be below. Work sort of as a checklist, and also be putting sort of timestamps in this guide so you can skip to those sections. But I hope you've enjoyed this guide, and remember to like and subscribe, and I'll be out with more Twisted League content and main game content soon.